Going guys, Data back here again, and today we'll be discussing game mechanics in video games. Also, breaking topic for a second, did you guys see the new logo for my channel? I decided it would be more fitting than the earlier D for datacat, as while I still like the minimalistic look of it, this one not only looks more professional, but it also looks a bit less like the symbol for the Democratic Party. I swear, Your Honor, they copied me first. Anyways, let's get back on topic for game mechanics and why they're important. Now, this list is going to be based on more recent video games, namely 2 recent video games, aiding to the explanation as to why they're so popular, and quickly topping charts faster than most AAA games have as of recent. So, Lethal Company is a no-brainer for our first topic. I could go on and on about spawning probability curves, spawn count fall-off, the animation curves, and the overall masterful work that made the game as moddable and visually appealing as it is easy on your computer and hard drive. Seriously, less than a gigabyte for a game I've enjoyed far more than most AAA titles recently? Sign me up yesterday! Luckily, I'm only doing game mechanics, so we're both saved from the headaches of me explaining and fanboying over the optimization of any games I'm going to be covering. So if you haven't heard of Lethal Company, first off, how? Second off, Lethal Company is a 1 to 4 player first-person co-op horror game where you need to venture to a variety of moons, varying from more lore-integrated moons to challenge moons, that essentially drop you off in a randomized save to try and min-max how much scrap you get out of the facility in a single day, with both the challenge moons and normal moons being similar in you gather scrap to sell to the company to meet quotas that rise every 3 in-game days. Lethal Company has 4 main mechanics. 1, a vision-based mechanic. This mechanic dictates what sees you, if it can, what you see, and how you see. Now, typically the safe bet in this game is that all the enemies will periodically check for if someone should be visible within their line of sight or not. Meaning that while you may be blind, fumbling in Steam for 3 minutes, that spider behind you can see you just fine with all 8 of its eyes. 2, a sound-based mechanic. Now, this one you have full control over. Assuming you're not using walkie-talkies or Discord, the game has a proximity chat system that is graded with 3 noise volumes: passive, alert, or trigger. Now, I don't have examples as the game has a robust distance versus volume algorithm. However, essentially any entity in the game that can hear sound is sorted in these 3 states, with the only one that varies being company monster, Jeb, as he has 3 different sets of PAT states, or passive alert and trigger states. The game is centered around this mechanic, similar to the vision-based mechanic. For example, everything in the game has very recognizable noises, with there even being an insanity and paranoia system that plays random noises near you, and more items in the game than not can alert more noise-oriented enemies, most namely alerting eyeless dogs. Third is a weight-based mechanic. Now, the game has changed vastly since it first came out, with an item that was added in one of the Christmas updates quickly becoming a staple. Both the gold bars and the gift box were added at similar times, and I name both of these because one is the most valuable scrap in the game, the gold bar, and the other multiplies the price of any scrap unboxed by an unknown amount, but it's typically worth more than if you found it in the facility. Of course, the more than inside the facility thing, air quotes if you can't see, is ignoring any weather multipliers to value, so sometimes maybe less than if you found it in the facility. Finally, there's the paranoia and insanity mechanics. Now, these are a bit of a doozy. So the biggest effect of the insanity and paranoia levels is it can spawn the ghost girl and lock it onto one of your crewmates, or yourself if you're playing solo, which you can either look up or comment if you want a whole Lethal Company rundown video. Essentially, the insanity level is your character's sanity after a certain number of functions, maxing out at 50, starting at 0, and increasing the longer you're alone anywhere inside and decreasing when outside. This, paired with the paranoia strat, which tracks how often you turn your head, means that the more stuff that happens and the more you panic in real life, the more your character will also go insane. Even though any of these mechanics could turn any game from an indie game with a cult following into a AAA classic, it's the beauty of how interwoven all these aspects are that offers in-depth reasoning as to why Lethal Company sold not 1, not 10, but 12.7 million copies in more than 123 days. Well, 123 since October, though it released on October 23rd, but I'm not calculating that, so I'll go with 123. Anyway, you heard me right. That means Lethal Company sold around 100,000 copies for every 10 days since its release. Wild. And before we move on to the second example of this video, remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And be sure to comment if you want to suggest my next video, or you want to leave some remarks for this video. Anyways, on to the next game, Helldivers 2. Now, Helldivers is another doozy. So much so that to give it a proper description of the mechanics within the game, it may be long enough that I only give 2 examples in this whole video. So if you see a third example of a game with important game mechanics, assume you either got a bonus or the writer for this video, it's me, probably slacked off during the creation of the script, as he always does. Wait, on to the first mechanic, the coup de grace of Helldivers 2, and one of the reasons for its popularity as a third-person shooter, similar to a mix of Battlefront 2 and Left 4 Dead, is stratagems. Oh, right. Helldivers 2 is a 1-4 person, seeing apparent here for co-op titles, PvE third-person shooter based on a stereotypical military archetype, similar to those spoofed or parodied or even just older army ads, scaled up to the massive scale similar to something you'd see in Battlefront or Battlefield. Okay, back on track, stratagems. You have a whopping 47 types of stratagems, with 4 different categories of stratagems. The first category is supply stratagems. These provide the player with personal defense drones, utility backpacks, supply backpacks for ammunition, and heavy weaponry. Number 2 is defensive stratagems. These grant the player operable and automated turrets, mines to help defend against the enemy horde, and a variety of other automated type of thing. Third is offensive stratagems. These are typically orbitals in Helldivers 2, and they allow the player to call down a variety of heavy ordnance, firebombs, and airstrikes, all designed to take the fight directly to the enemy. And finally, we have mission stratagems. These are typically objective-based stratagems that may vary by mission, but the one that you will most commonly see is one granted by Helldiver Command to deal with certain problems, the Hell Bomb. And the Hell Bomb is available for any mission that requires the destruction of a stationary building, such as a research station or a jammer. This means that while helpful until you learn the grenade tech, more on that later, probably not, I don't know, you don't even necessarily need orbitals to complete any automaton missions. It's because of the sheer variety of stratagems resulting in a whopping, Jesus Christ. If you can select 4 stratagems per mission, out of a total of 47 unlockable stratagems, you have a total of 178,365 different combinations. Good luck on making a video on describing all those. Certainly enough for any democracy-fearing Helldiver. The second mechanic is also a fairly important aspect of Helldivers, as it affects parts of your non-stratagem kit, that being health, ammo, grenades, and or movement buffs. There are 32 different body armor sets in Helldivers 2, with an equal amount of helmets. However, while you can customize your helmet and cape to your preferred visual liking, only the armor on your character provides any passives or differences in armor rating, speed, and stamina regeneration. More on that later. Actually though, this time, there are 6 different passives you can have on your armor, being as follows. 1, extra padding, which helps to lower an explosion damage. 2, a 50% chance of not dying after taking lethal damage. 3, scans for enemies every 2 seconds while reducing detection range by 30%, or stealth armor. 4 is 30% reduced recoil while crouched or prone, plus 2 extra grenades. 5 is 2 extra stim slots with 2 extra seconds of duration per stim. And finally, an extra 50% limb health and 30% increased throwing range. All of these different passives help to contribute to certain playstyles, with some encouraging more grenade-based offensive plays, and others being more stealth or survival-based. Some being more buffs to certain utility or aim-based functions as well. The mechanic of armor types providing differences with armor rating, speed, and stamina regeneration, with armor rating inversely increasing or decreasing to speed and stamina regeneration, offers trade-offs in benefits to light, medium, and heavy armor, which brings us into our next segue. The third is movement in this game. Anywhere from explosions and certain enemies flinging to heights that would make some skyscrapers blush, just for you to flip a coin, to live GTA 5 style or die also GTA 5 style. Listen, not many games are as random with ball damage as GTA is. Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of, I guess, but you're rewarded with better movement in the game in a variety of ways. The first one you learn in the tutorial that provides the most utility is the prone/diving function, which allows you to dive for cover, reducing explosion damage for a few seconds, mainly until you land, assuming you dive and land at nearly the same height. Otherwise, you may take extra fall damage if you dive at too great a height. It also acts as a dodge function, as most enemies in the game will accurately track you or charge at you without you attempting to outplay them with dodging and diving, similar to a normal PvP scenario. Another way you're rewarded for movement is by paying attention to your speed and stamina regeneration when picking your armor. Meaning that if you want to move faster, you can equip light armor, but if you need to take more damage, you'll need to move slower with heavy armor, of which you can only change before you enter a mission. While statistic-wise the numbers don't mean much to you, after all what's 500 versus 520, 550, who knows what the armor and speed actually means. However, when it comes to that trade-off, you'll notice it when you're tanking bullets or you're tanking explosions, but you may reach a main objective across the map a minute or two slower than someone with a lighter armor. While the game has a stamina function, unlike Breath of the Wild or any other similar climbing game, it doesn't stop you from running completely while fully out of stamina or recovering. However, you'll notice your speed is heavily decreased if you keep running while out of breath, or with no stamina. So good stamina preservation can make the difference between reaching cover in time and dying halfway across no man's land. Finally, the last mechanic is immersion. Yeah, I know that this could have been applied to a certain extent for Lethal Company has, while it's trivialized a lot. I genuinely think it's a pretty solid horror game when you're not laughing with your friends because you teleported and got blasted by a fucking nutcrack. The game starts with its immersion, the first cutscene you ever see, painting a picture of the universe while also showing you the commercial that your character probably saw before getting drafted to fight for Super Earth. Not to mention the whole tutorial is as solid as it is a boost to your ego, with every action you take making you feel like you made an impact. Even if it's something as simple as surviving turrets because you dove under them so they couldn't friendly fire you. Pretty accurate depiction of the game, to be honest. There are a ton of customization options as far as what you can wear for armor, helmets, and capes, along with a variety of different weaponry and ship names that you can have. The immersion doesn't even stop there. From anywhere from the Discord updates even being Helldivers themed, as if you're in-universe, to the game tips for loading screens, to even having stats in the game making you truly feel like you're in a faction-based game. I don't know what it is, but seeing that active Helldiver count with how many bullets are fired, and seeing the percentage of how much of a planet you've taken back makes me feel like how Christopher Columbus felt discovering America. No, even cooler. Which isn't hard, like Chris Dog clearly didn't have a cape. With all these features combined, they integrate into the game quite well to make a game with a rather high skill ceiling, due to the range of difficulty levels and mission type difficulty variations, while still keeping the game casual enough to where anyone wanting to pick it up can have fun and get into the game with little overhead time investment to feel like they're doing a good job in the game. And you don't need to be a professional in order to capture percentages of the planets, which allows you to contribute to the faction-based aspect without needing to pour thousands of hours into the game. Helldivers 2 and Lethal Company were my first thoughts for examples in the video essay like this, because they have easily attributable and easily divided game mechanics and gameplay aspects within their game, that give both of them a unique and satisfying feel whenever you succeed using any of their mechanics, rewarding you when you master any of them, while also helping to indulge people who arrive from similar games within the genre, as it holds hands of people who need it, and kicks the birds out of the nest who want to start by flying. I would have loved to add more games to this list, but I'm trying to make it more palatable to newer viewers, and viewers who want a more bite-sized video rather than one of those video essays where you can fall asleep during it and wake up the next morning just to hear them reach point 2 in the video. So, as for this video, this about wraps it up. Blah blah blah, I've already said to hit the like and subscribe button as well as a whole comment thing, so how about this? If you weren't gonna comment before, comment Blahaj Shark. I'll put the spelling on the screen. In the comment section if you want to support this video without needing to like and see other videos if this isn't your thing, that's fine. I appreciate any of you guys for watching this video. Any support means the world. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.